Yay. So, hello, hello. It is that time. Hi, everybody. I'm Sherri Johnson, CEO and founder of Sherri Johnson Coaching. And it is our Friday Rockstar interview. And we have a very special friend of mine on today. I am so excited. This has been a long time in the making for me to have her on as a guest. Caprina Gates. And she is from Cleveland, Ohio, with Howard Hanna Real Estate. And we are talking about going from rookie to rock star. And I know you're going to get so much out of this, everybody. I'm just so excited. So, hello, Caprina.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Awesome. We've got people on, and anybody who's on, make a comment, tell me your name so I see who's on here and we can interact with each other. Again, it's like, first of all, it's so good to see you. And I think we were talking earlier that we met, I think, 12 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
At
So,
your first, when you were in training at
yeah,
corporate.
right.
And so much has evolved over those 12 years. Um, our paths recrossed when I had that unbelievable opportunity to be your manager and work with you firsthand. And I remember the day because I looked at you and you were like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, I think I whispered, like, "I'm your new manager.
Yep.
And, like, get out of here." And I was like, "Yeah, it's happening." And so then we got to work together for, I don't know, 9 years or whatever. And it's just been amazing to watch you. I have to tell you, it's one of my favorite success stories in my 25 years of doing this. So,
Right.
do me a favor, tell everybody, like, how long you've been in the business.
Okay.
Um, Tell us about yourself. I know you have 3 kids, you have triplets. Tell us about yourself and Chris and everybody, and then we'll jump in.
Okay. So I am Caprina Gates. I have been a realtor since 2009. I went to school in 2008. I have stayed with the same brokerage, Howard Hanna, the whole time. I met Sherri when I was doing my training. I have 14-year-old triplets, and I think that I think my the biggest thing that it's probably going to be hard for me is that I really do attribute most of my success and everything that I've learned and my confidence to what I learned with you. So I think that you're probably not going to want to hear that the whole time, but I definitely my big thing right now is something that someone said to me when I was talking to them a couple months ago, and he said, in looking at my career, he sees that it's basically just went like this, and he told me to stay on the gas. So I feel like that's something that you started with me, and I guess we're going to talk about how I've done that.
Well, stay on and here's the thing, a lot of agents, um, a lot of agents want to do what you're doing. Okay, and we'll talk about numbers in a minute. And a lot of agents have excuses, and a lot of people. I mean, just we all have, we either have the drive to succeed and the
Yep.
will to make it happen, or we don't. And you've heard me say before, I can't motivate a satisfied person. And
Yes.
I think when people get out of their mode of what's normal,
True.
like what we're used to becomes so normal that it actually holds us back. And I think a lot of your story, you have conquered so many things. You're one of the strongest women I've ever known. And you have, you know, done things that this is only the beginning too, I will say. So, and I love it. I mean, going from, making, I don't know, 30 to $40,000 a year, sort of, I don't want to say part-timing it, to making, close to or over $200,000. And I'm sure this year will be, more, and it will just keep going. So
That's
the
the
first thing
plan.
that
That's the plan.
is the plan, and it will happen because you have to have belief in yourself. And I'm glad you mentioned the confidence. There's a lot of um, just doing things and having the confidence that you can do it. And I think
Yes.
people shortchange themselves. Agents just don't believe they can do it. And you are in price points you've never been in before that I know was a goal of yours years ago. So you have triplets, you have you've done so many amazing things in the last even 5 or 7 years of that growth. How did you get I remember you having, you would go to Office Max and you would come back and you would have all this organization and I mean systems, and you had a binder and you had for sale by owners and expired, and you would you'd literally implement everything,
Yep.
and I'd watch you do this and I'm like, this is just unbelievable. So you had great systems, and you would put this stuff into action. And I think that that's key, is action, and
Yeah.
saying, you know what, and I believe this firmly because Alan Chandler from Smythe Kramer told me, you're as good as the top agent in your office. And I kept saying, no, I'm
Yep.
not. I haven't done it yet.
Right.
He kept saying it. And then he was like, Sherri, listen to me. They've just done it longer. And I remember having that conversation with you and saying, you're as good as the agents in this office that are our top agents, whatever. You
Right.
are a top agent. And, your
Did.
mindset shifted at some point, from, probably in your mind, sort of plateauing maybe under 2 million or something, to taking that leap and going from 2 to 2.5 million to 5 million. So
Yes.
tell us what you did in that made that
Okay.
happen.
I think that first, going back to the confidence factor, I did not go on my first listing appointment until I had been licensed for 6 months. And I actually chose to go on my own, even though it was offered for my manager to go with me.
Mhm.
I think that I felt like I needed to do that for myself. And I actually never had anybody, now that I think about it, I never had anybody go with me. If I had questions and there were things that I did not know, I would genuinely tell them. I would find out. I feel like I definitely behaved as though I was doing more business than I did. I never really was asked if I was new because of my confidence. And so, like, all those systems and my binders and all that stuff you're talking about, I think what I did is I went from, you know, being super excited and focusing on the fact that I got that one listing. And then I utilized every single thing that I was taught to try to create more business from that listing. And I used my checklist that I had for follow ups for every type, like the for sale by owners, expired, farming, tried to make sure that I made contact with my sphere. I think the follow up and the follow through changed everything. So as you mentioned, obviously in my first year or so, I was, selling just under $2 million, or right at 2.5 million. And, I would say to you, when you became my manager shortly after, I would say to you, like, this isn't enough. Like, I need to make more money. I can't rely on asking, my dad or whatever for help. I got to be able to do this myself, because I was a single mom to triplets at that point. And I remember you saying you need to give yourself a raise. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if it's that easy, like, what do you mean? And so you're like, if you still sell, 10 to 15 houses a year, you need to look at the price points that you actually want to be in and start working towards those. And I mean, I think I just changed my total mindset on where I was going with my career and what I was going to make it. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in business and finance. I was pre-law. Like, I needed to realize who I was. And so that's what I did. I mean, I feel like I figured out, okay, every single thing is not possible to work on for marketing
Mm.
and for finding new business. So I found, you remember, I would go to for sale by owners like crazy, and I would get every one of them. It was something that I was able to, when I'm in front of someone, and when, as realtors, when we get in front of someone, we're on. It's the time. Like the phone calls and, people just randomly getting a letter from you, that's not enough. They don't know who you are and they can't trust you. But when you have an opportunity to be in front of somebody, that's your time to shine. So I used those opportunities because I wasn't big in open houses. I had triplets and wasn't sitting in a house for a couple hours on a Sunday.
Right.
So I utilized anytime I had in front of anybody, and I still do. Like, I'm back to basics now. I don't know if I had told you that. That's my new thing this week. I'm back to basics. So although I do have, several listings coming up, there's just a need, and I'm trying to list them. So that's where I'm at.
So it's funny that, I mean, yes, give yourself a raise. It being strategic, being on purpose, and having a plan. So many agents, I think, sort of pop tart around, like,
Yeah,
where the business is coming, instead of being like, I'm going after this particular price point, which means I have a higher average earned income and commission earned on each deal. And you're right. When we are face to face, we shine. I love that. I'm so convinced of that. And I believe that when you get in front of somebody, you can close them. I mean, you can add value and solve their problems, and you get hired, and that's what you're doing. Are you um, still using? So I know you had adopted sort of the my gold mine pipeline system. I think you told me of 15 potential listings right now, which I think anybody listening to this is like, how did you
yeah,
get a list of 15 that aren't on the market yet, everybody? So
right,
so you've got 15. They're at varying stages of their process of moving. Some are ready
right,
probably now, and some aren't ready for a few months. But where do
right.
those lead sources? Because I don't think you're paying for leads, and I don't think
I
you're
don't.
right. So you prove that you can do this business. You just said back to the basics. You just
Yep,
proved that you can generate leads,
right.
play through your sphere. And I just heard a great story. You told me about, you had an interaction with Chris with his car, and somehow you now have sold a house from it. So can you tell
Yeah.
tell
So
me?
I was just, I was laughing the other day because I said at our meeting, our broker meeting, I actually had a chance to be part of it. I'm normally so busy, I just can't. And there was a newer agent in one of the breakout groups we did, and she just, she's trying to juggle. She's like, how can I possibly be successful? And I told her, I used to feel the same way. People were very negative to me, and they would want to make sure I knew the real deal, and they would tell me everything and anything possible to try to just give me the information. Sometimes it would scare me, but I never gave up. So I was explaining to her, I used to hear these crazy stories from you. And I said, so like, I would hear these crazy stories from the greatest sales trainer that I've ever had. And she would tell me that she made $25,000 at the grocery store or at the car wash. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, well, how did you do that? Like, I need to be able to do that. And it was just simply always being educated on the market. Obviously, I don't know every listing that's on the market, but if somebody asks me a question about their home, I've kind of kept up with what you said. Just make sure you know your market, you can answer questions, you're knowledgeable, you're their go-to, they think about you. So that's what happened. I mean, honestly, I saw him. I interact with them often. It's not like they don't know I'm in real estate. So he said, hey, I was thinking about calling you. And I was like, well, it is a perfect time to sell. I told him we'll figure out things on the other side. And I told him I'd gather info and get in touch with him. And that was on Friday. And by Saturday afternoon, I had sold his house. And it's weird to me that I have multiple stories like this now, but it honestly comes from consistency. And kind of back to what you asked me before, I never had money to actually buy leads. So other agents around me would be spending $500 to $1,000 a month, and that was literally me feeding my children. I could have never done it. So I was never able to do that. So I had to take every natural opportunity that I had and anything that was inexpensive. Social media is a very big thing for all of us. I think that it can go two ways. I think sometimes I see people that I am looking at like, oh my gosh, you are doing so good. You're always really busy. And I think that I show that as well, because obviously I am, but it's a very fine line because sometimes people think you're too busy to help them.
Right.
So it's nice to have a balance and like show your real life and that you actually have a life, even if we don't, outside of real estate. And I mean, there's times like I was telling Sherri that before that I was working 16 to 19 hours for a month straight, 6 days a week. I had no choice. But when you're doing what you love, it comes across and people really realize that real estate's my passion. I absolutely love real estate. I cannot imagine doing anything else. And I love helping people and the way that they need you and the interaction that you have with them. Like you said, you bring value and they realize, yes, obviously, some people do sell their house for sale by owner. But as a realtor, we have a lot to offer. There's things they do not know about that they absolutely would not be comfortable to do themselves, wouldn't have the time to do, and they would have to seek assistance. And they're clearly not going to get as much money. So when it comes to me talking to a seller who may be thinking of that or is already listed for sale by owner, it's just bringing the value and the purpose and the confidence for them to know that I really do show them that I know more than what they do about what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that that helps immensely too. And I think you kind of taught us that.
Well, you have to exude confidence. And you said it earlier, you build trust. A lot of my mantra and yours as well is building relationships with people on confidence and trust. And this is a lifelong relationship with these people. And I love that you said naturally getting these
Yeah.
sources, the natural, and I often say organically, you can you can do this business with literally yourself. Like, you don't need some mousetrap out there that costs 500 or $5,000 a month, and there are agents spending that. And you're right. It's
Oh,
like,
easily.
and I think somebody just posted you have a huge why, and I think that was when you were talking about your kids. So I think that's cool. And how old are they now?
14.
That is hard to believe. Although mine
Yeah,
are
they were
also.
too. Yep.
So you did. So these lead sources for you right now, for these 15 leads, are coming from your sphere, referrals, for sale by owners, expireds. Like, where are they coming from?
Um, Again, I think it goes back
Social media?
to, I'm not going to keep giving you all this credit, okay? This is the last thing I'm saying. But I remember when one of the sales trainings that you did, you had told us about, like, if you can just get your sign in a few yards and you market yourself properly, people start to think that they see you everywhere. So I think that what happened when I wasn't selling on the level I'm selling now is people started seeing my signs and they would, and a couple of my listings were amazingly placed where it got so much traffic by them. So often I would get calls from people who didn't know me and didn't know anyone, but they would see a sign more than once and throughout, a period of time. And they would say, "Oh, I see your sign everywhere." And I
Mhm.
knew for a fact I only had one or two listings for
Right.
them to see a sign. So some of them are from that. I do have a lot of social media contacts, obviously referrals. I'm at a place in my business where I'm getting a lot of referrals from former clients, which is beautiful because you always think when you hear of other realtors when you first start and they say that, you just wonder when and if that'll ever happen. So that does happen. And then following up and keeping in touch with former clients. People are at a place where a few of my listings, I sold their house for them. So they're coming back to either buy another house and keep their current house or sell their current house and buy another. I mean, it's just like, and just like, again, reminding them that I'm still in the business and this is what I do and, checking in with them. And it's not like maintaining any kind of like a fake relationship with them. It's just, again, very natural, organic, keeping people on your social media. And a lot of my clients don't have it. So I have other ways that I'll keep in touch with them. But just keeping in touch. And just like everybody else, we get so busy, we don't have time to do that all the time. But using like the natural times throughout the year when you can of holidays and stuff like that helps.
I think your social media is so on point. Your graphics, it's subtle. There's a perfect mix of your kids, family, Chris, Bert, and plus listings that are coming soon or just sold, and just the way that you
Right.
present them is very different than what other agents are doing. So I feel like your stuff stands out. So it's beautiful and it's nice. And I don't think I told you that yet.
You. Thank
Um, yeah. So John Harb is on and says hi, lady.
Hi. Hi, John.
John, so good to see you, and thanks for joining us. When you look at growth, so I want to take us now from you hit some numbers at 5 to 6 million. And I have to say, I literally always knew that you could and would do this as soon as you sort of had that mental and that mind shift.
You said that. I don't know that I thought that at first, but
No,
you
I
definitely
agree.
did.
I agree, and I see that in a lot of people, a lot of agents who we look around, we see everybody else sort of successfully doing these things, and we think, and I was like that. I mean, I had, I would sell 8 houses in 1 month, and I'd be all excited, and some big team in my office had 18 for the month, and I would walk
Yep.
away from the board.
Yep.
Even though I had 8, I was like, I suck, and so, and so,
Yeah.
so we all have it. We all have it. We all have it. Doesn't matter who we are. But you broke through that glass ceiling, I feel like, and having the sharpness of your business background, and you've owned other businesses. I wanted to mention that too. You came into this, and so now we're at like 5, 6 million a couple years ago, and I think last year did over 8 million, and your trajectory for this year, I'm sure, is you've already closed like 5 or 6 this year, correct?
That's what I will hear in the next couple weeks. That'll be where I'm at.
Oh my gosh,
I know.
I love that. It's almost like if I had a crystal ball, in 2000 and whatever year that was, 13 or 2012, 13, 14, and then saying, my gosh, look at luck,
No, I
what
know.
a few 6, 8 years have done. So from tell everybody, like, literally what they need to stop doing and what they should start doing if they want to double and triple their business like you have done. What are some
Um, I I would say the same thing that I have issues with that I think we all do in real estate just because of the nature of our job. Like you said, I think that I closed a bunch this week, but I think I still have like maybe 12 or 14 pending. So it's like I have to focus on keeping that business, but then also when that's done, I have more that I need to focus on. So you obviously have to work. There's no days off. You do have to schedule family. Another thing that I was taught by someone, I won't say who it was, but to set your family time as an appointment. And so you never have to tell your client, oh, I'm doing this with my kids. Everyone knew at some point in the transaction that I had children, but I am not a big, oh, my triplets. Oh, I'm a single mom. Oh, because you know what it would do? It would cause them to lose confidence in me. And it's not that I hid my children. It's just the fact that they hired me as a business person to do a job for them. So it wasn't something I consistently talked about or ever used my kids as an excuse.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I think that that would be one thing is scheduling. Time blocking is extremely important. Again, this is all basics. So this is kind of what I did to get from that point to the next point. Time blocking, literally staying away from negativity, huge, 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 huge. If you are not around people who are entrepreneurs, who aren't thinking like you, who don't realize why you need to work as much as you do, why you're so driven, your passion, it starts to rub off on you. And you really have to be around the right people. Chris is obviously my person. He is just like me. We are both completely driven. He's an entrepreneur. We naturally, again, there's that word, but we naturally motivate each other because obviously we're living the same life. It's what we do. And you need to start thinking of yourself as a business owner. Don't refer to yourself just as a realtor or real estate agent. I think, um, one quick story. So I went on a listing appointment. This goes back to confidence and the difference and what's out there right now. I went on a listing appointment. I was up against 8 other realtors. So just like when I started or at different points in my career, I may not have had my own listings to show. But what these out of the other set, there, I was up against 8. There was 8 of us total, actually. So out of the other 7, 2 of them came to the listing appointment and showed a copy of an MLS listing in my town, and they happened to be my listings. And they were using them as examples of what listings should look like and how they would put it in and what they would say. So the seller noticed the name, never told them it was me. And he said, "So you mean to tell me you're using a listing of another realtor to show me?" And at that point, I think both of them felt like, oops, like we should have blocked that off or not printed the agent version. And instead of just going on with explaining about themselves, they began to say negative things and say that I was too busy. I couldn't take on any more listings. And that part happened with the other couple people. So I am naturally a very positive, high energy person. So no one ever needed to teach me not to talk about someone else. But when you go and you get an opportunity to sit in front of someone and shine, don't ever talk about another brokerage. Don't ever talk about another realtor. Only talk about yourself and what you can do. And honestly, he said that's why I got the listing. My numbers meant a lot to him, but they didn't mean as much because he knows I sell real estate. Everyone who came there sold real estate. No one had zero sales. So for him, I was the only person out of those other 7 people who didn't speak about other brokerages or other realtors. I was the only one who only talked about myself and what I was going to do. And I also spoke in confidence, he said, to the point where I talked about our listing, what we were doing with his house. I spoke of it as though it was already mine.
Yep.
And so I think that's something that everyone needs to do. If you have this one shot, you have no idea. You could be the only realtor and you could get the listing or you could gain the buyer or whatever it is. But I think that was very important. I always did that. But as far as me being able to make the appointments, that's what got me from that place to where I'm at, is intentionally, literally seeking out appointments, not just like being at the store. Everyone knows me at every store I go to because I talk to everyone. I
Yep.
treat people like they're my best friend because it comes natural to me. And so, I mean, if it doesn't come natural to you, just try to make it part of who you are. It's not because you're not friendly. It's just some people don't have that personality. I mean, I've literally sold the home of someone who works at Target, sold someone else who works at Target a home, sold someone at Walmart, someone who works at Giant Eagle. My our local attorney here, I work with her now. I mean, just like anybody that you can think of. And it's just because I developed relationships with these people. And it just, I mean, that's the biggest part. Because like I said, I didn't have money. I couldn't have possibly done the leads. And that's what I did, consistency in those things throughout the past couple of years.
Well, and there was so much in that. I could comment on it a couple of ways, and we have a question actually about it as well. I like that you said you spoke as though you already had the listing, and you said when we do these things, not if, right? So
Right.
the way you speak matters, and you had a presumptive close. And I love the fact that you said you don't have to talk about another agent or company ever negatively. Here's a question we have: if somebody mentions another agent and asks you about another agent, how do you
Yep.
handle that?
I just had that. So just last week, I was on a listing appointment, and the seller said, "Oh, he rolled up in my driveway fast in this $100,000 Cadillac." And he's like, "I'm an old guy. I don't like that. You don't drive in my driveway like that." And I just laughed and I was like, "Oh gosh, he probably just missed your house almost. And, I know what it's like. It's hard to do the GPS." And I made a joke out of it. And he's like, "Yeah, you're probably right." And he said, he asked me, he said, this particular realtor said that he sells this many homes. And at first, he didn't give me the name. And he said that, he explained how important it is to be with someone who's on a team. I don't have a team. I won't have a team in any time the foreseeable future. And so he asked me, he's like, "Well, why don't you do a team?" This guy said, if you don't have a team, you're not successful. So I told him, I said, here's the way the process works for me. I will be the one to handle everything for you. You'll always talk to me. He then gave me the person's name, and I told him, he does a very high level of business. He did not lie to you at all. And in my particular dealings with him, he was very nice. And I told him he was always very nice. He was in touch. And he said, do you believe that I will have him from the start to the finish of the transaction? And I was honest. I told him, I have no idea how his business functions, but I know that on a team, people have different roles. And whatever he's telling you, the only way you're going to know the answers is if you ask him. But I mean, if someone's been a total jerk to me and someone asked me specifically about that person, I am still going to tell them the same thing. I'm never, ever, ever going to risk my reputation
Bingo.
to have an opportunity to say something bad about somebody, no matter how they've treated me. And if other people do it, that's on them.
Yeah.
But I will never do it. And honestly, and my big thing, I think, is like, I make jokes. I think I'm probably more funny than I actually am, but I think that that helps break the ice. And just like how he had gotten upset about the guy's car at first, zooming in his driveway, I made a joke and it broke the ice and he wasn't, as ticked off about it anymore. So, I think it's just important, again, just kind of to stick to it. And I have done this too, this real quick. I actually have rehearsed, like before I will go, I will say, oh my God, what if they ask me this? Then I'll think about what I would say so that I'm smooth. So I think maybe, like, especially if you're nervous, more of a nervous person, or you think that you're up against other people and they might ask you, like, rehearse it. And then you'll know kind of what you're going to say and at least guide yourself.
Well, and it's just how you handled that. And I think Brian Barker down in Southern Ohio had the question, and then also made the comment, "Caprina, you're lovely." So that's a very
Thank
true
you.
statement, Brian, and I couldn't agree with you more. And you just said it. We're not going to risk our reputation. What people say is about them, and that means what we say is really a reflection on us. And you can go high road, and definitely, the high road has a better view and at the end anyway. And so you got that listing, and you didn't, right, this other example.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting when you focus on um yourself and what you can do to help, and you gave great answers. um I don't know the answer. You're just going to have to ask that other agent, or you can say, polite, professional things. I also like that you mentioned that you don't use anyone as an excuse, your kids included, and like people don't need to know. And I remember saying, you have an appointment. You always have an appointment. Doesn't matter. No one needs to know what that appointment was or is. And
Right. Right.
and being able to you said getting in the appointments. Like, you have to get appointments or you're not going to have any sales. I mean, there's like appointments make sales happen,
Right.
even pre-listing appointment to go see a house. And once you're at the house, then you start talking again, and you can qualify them and ask better questions and move that person through the process of getting ready to sell their house. You're one step closer to writing that listing agreement. So it's interesting because, and you said so many awesome things. You are, and I say this, you are the CEO of your company. You might not use that term and put it on your cards because we don't have to, but you have to think that way. You have to think that way, and you have to say,
Yeah.
"I'm in business." And I remember this mentor that I had who worked for my dad, and in his other job, he sold like $90 million of water heaters. And you'll remember this story, but I had sold a printing job, and I was all excited about it. And I was walking around, celebrating this print job sale that I had put together. And I was like, I'm all excited. And he grabbed me in the hallway and he goes, "Kid, you had a sale?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah. And he said, "Great. Stop celebrating. Go make 10 more calls," And it was like, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Your confidence is high, your energy, your enthusiasm, you just won a deal." So it's like, that's the tenacity. And we don't have, even if you can't afford, even now, being able to afford to pay for systems that you don't really need. I think you have
Right.
done this business the sustainable way. We have lots of people who don't know how to convert leads at the grocery store because they bought leads, and they say to us, "We don't know how, I don't know how to do that now because the the Zillow leads changed, and we used to get a lot off of that. And really, they didn't even make 3 times the expenditure. The return on
Right.
investment is not there. So you're doing it all the right way. And you said schedule, time block, and my favorite thing was stay away from negativity. And you said it, that stuff will rub off, and it does affect us. And you want to be with the winners. You want to be the winners, and you want to be with the winners. I think that's really something that seems obvious, but
Right.
we have to make a conscious and concerted effort to remove ourselves from those people who are just maybe, you know, just not good for us. They're just
Right.
um so now you've got let's talk about some goals you have. Like you have hit plateaus and income that you may have never thought, could only happen to the people that you saw doing it, right? And now you're doing
Right.
it, and now you have that, and I think what people who are listening to this who are saying, how can I do this for myself as an individual agent? And there are a lot of people making over 7 figures without a team. They have an assistant, maybe 2 assistants, a transaction coordinator or something. But you don't have to have a team, is the point. And or you can, it's whatever people want to do. But where do you see, like, what are some of your goals now going forward, into the future? Like, are you looking to um, increase your average sale price still? Are you looking to increase units? Are you looking to, what are some goals that you have?
I definitely want a house manager. I keep telling everybody I want somebody to like just be like, okay, Caprina, today here's what you're gonna do. And I want them to have dinner set up, my schedule set up. But no, in all seriousness, for me, I think that from this place, the consistency in my business is necessary. I have some very, very exciting opportunities that were presented to me. And I'm going to go along with those, and it's only going to help my business and really get me out there. So I think for me, an assistant is probably on the way. You're convincing me. There are things that, I could be doing instead of doing, making sure that I have all my paperwork done a certain way and all the stuff. And I'm really particular about things. And so I want to refine my marketing this year.
Okay.
Um, because I was never one, as you know, to use the marketing that's provided by my broker. I always made up my own marketing. And maybe that's another good point for people who are starting or just, starting from the basics, like I said, I was. I want to refine my marketing, just like I've done with my social media. I want to obviously increase my units and sales. My goal would be in the next 3 years to be in that 15 to 20 million mark. I know that I can do that. And I just have to implement some things in place that I haven't. And I'm also very, very big on reiterating what I was told by someone. What you do today, you will not see the results for at least 90 days. It is extremely true. So, my biggest goal with the consistency was to make sure that at some point I would never let more than 1 week go by that I didn't do some form of marketing. Because once whatever I had going on, the pendings or the pending sales or the leads, the listings that were coming up, I needed to have more opportunities. So I don't let more than a week go by that I haven't done some form of marketing. Um, and so in order to increase my units and my sales, I'm going to have to do that. I am going to have to really get on my marketing. And we're our best marketer. That's the other thing too. I used to always think that other realtors I'd see, I'd be like, oh my God, like who is doing this? Who's marketing them? Like, how can I'm my best. I talk a certain way. I can't pay a company to post for me. I have to be the one to do it because people relate to me because of me. So that was something else I had thought about. I'm like, oh, I could just buy one of these programs that comes up with posts for me, and
Right.
that doesn't work for me. Like people have to see me, and that's the other thing. Also, videos,
About that.
videos. So, oh, do you want to say something
No,
else about?
just
Okay.
about, I was going to ask you uh, about video, and if you're launching into that. Before I do that, though, we have a comment that says, "I want
See,
a
it's the
manager."
best idea ever, isn't it? I just picture like who's the boss, like when I was growing up. I
Yeah,
mean, I wasn't around back then. I'm too young for that. But I just picture like that. And I'm like, I need somebody to do that for
and I
me.
and I have to shout out. It's Victoria Pelchat from Toledo, Howard Hanna in Toledo. Hi, Vicky Pelchat,
Hi.
and just a great comment. I had to post that. Um, you know, I think I love hearing that your goals are where they're at. It's a there should always be a dream goal, a stretch goal. How much money do you have to make? How much money would you like to make? And then what would you like? What's the stretch goal? And that stretch goal, yeah, it always has to be in front of you. It always has to be out there. Who told you about the 90 days?
Who told me all the others I mentioned? I wonder who. That was
Oh,
you.
I thought
So
so.
you
I
would
was
tell
listening.
me I would have these times that I would just be I would be very content where I was at. Let's just say that. So
90 days.
then who said, like we need to we have to do like we would do have our business planning for the whole office.
Right, right, right.
And in there you'd say you need to write down your goals. The one time I wrote down 30,000, I'm like, I'm fine. You're like 30, that's not a goal. Like that's what you make now. I'm like, I know, but I'm fine where I'm at. So
Oh,
then you made me adjust it based on real life and what I was actually going to need to provide to my children in my life. And I thought about that. And I mean, I have stuff up, and I do this with my husband's business too, but I have stuff up where their goals for everything. So our kids have that. I mean, I have like raised these little business people, and I think that's the other thing. Instead of real estate being something that takes like all of our time, I
yes.
think that incorporating my kids in with the business has been like the biggest thing. They're very helpful. They help me be consistent, and this kind of leads into one of the things I'm doing. So I have a video series. Back in the fall, I started thinking we have a lot of friends that are small business owners, and they were struggling still. A lot of people being afraid to go into different places and stuff like that. So I'm like, what can I do to help? Like, how could I help? And so everyone said, like everyone I talked to was like, oh my God, you're so good at marketing. You're so good at marketing. Like, I wish that you could help me with my business. So I thought about it. And one night I was like, why don't I do videos? Like everyone knows you've got to get in front of the camera. It's going to make me nervous too. So I started a small business video series, and I am all over the place with it. So I started in my town. I am in the cities around me, and I'm going from small business to small business, and they tell a little bit about themselves, and I put it out there for them, and they share it, and other people share it. And I mean, it has really it has helped so many people. I mean, that, and then on top of that, it has caused them to say to themselves, oh my God, like Caprina did this for me. Like they wouldn't have done it on their own. So it's like what I did actually ended up giving them confidence to do more for their business. And I didn't even know that would happen. My genuine goal was to help them with their business with my platform, as small as it is, but at least it was something,
Yeah.
and
Good.
so the other part of my goal for 2021 is for me to do more videos. Like, why would I not like be people like, again, I think I'm funny, but like, why not do like a short little Snapchat? I won't say I'll do TikTok because I'm not at that place. I won't.
Right.
But why not do a short little video? Like people are interested in seeing what other people are doing with their day. So I'm going to start doing little videos, like, and just posting like what I'm doing. Like do it on your stories on Instagram, on Facebook. I mean, maybe I should have been a blogger because I feel like I'm like not afraid to share like what I'm doing.
Right.
Even when
Right.
I don't look like this, you know what I mean? Like when
No,
you don't look
exactly.
like people like to see that you're real.
100%. 100%. And you are, you know, We got another cute post. Victoria, thank you. When our house is in order, we will be successful. I know that you can, first of all, the fastest way for everyone we know and people we don't know to see us is video. And, phone calls are great, connecting with people individually, of course, we have to do. But video is the it's the future. And if agents are not on video, I'm saying this, they will be just literally passed by because it's almost it is to me, it is, everything should be on video. You should be having, interviewing the schools, interviewing the local leaders of your communities, like you just did, presenting the community business owners, and all of this, can be posted on your Facebook group, your VIP group on Facebook, if you have one. You can also, people want to see the new listings you're putting out, and maybe you don't say the address, and maybe you, do a sneak preview, or you just say, "Hey, I'm at a new listing. I can't wait to announce it." I mean, the more people see you, agents that didn't want to do video that I've sort of pushed into the deep end.
Hmm.
But I'll push you in too. But like, I don't think I have to because you're ready to do it. But like, they have said to me, thank God I did this because everybody expects my videos every week. And when I don't do
Right.
them, they're saying, "Hey, where are you? We want to see your face." And you are a real estate celebrity. And you are funny, by the way. You think you're funny. And I love that you said you think you're funnier than you are. All I know is that we would stay up late
Oh,
jamming like Pitbull or some kind of funny.
yes. Yes,
And we
we
would
would.
just, and then you would talk to me when I would drive home,
Yep.
the east side, until I moved to the west side. But my goodness, it is just so fantastic to see your success just literally unfolding in front of all of us. But mostly, but the example you are to your children, and the fact that you teach them, like you are absolutely the greatest mother with this. I mean, think about what your kids are learning how to be a business person from age, 6 on. Like now they're
Right.
14 and they get it. And I've watched them grow up, and we all have, and they're just amazing kids. But they have an amazing mother, and you have literally made this happen. And it's not over. Like there's so many chapters for you. There's so much more. There's It's so delightful, and we get what we give, and you are always really professional, positive, helping other people. You radiate a room. I mean, just when you smile and laugh, it does. And I love that we've stayed connected. And I also would love for you to come back on the show for another interview at some point.
Okay.
We'll see where the new achievements are, and the new goals that you've hit, because I know they're right around the corner and they're happening. And like right now, when you said you have 13 pending sales,
I
I
know. I'm telling you, I freak out too. I'm like,
I am
what?
just the fact that no, I'm like,
I
you have
know.
them on
I
top of
know.
the 5 million you've already sold. So
Oh,
this is success in the making, and just watching you this meteoric rise is just fabulous. And it is not over. There's so much more to your story, and it unfolds, and it's so fun to watch. I want to tell everybody listening from other parts of the country, Caprina Gates is who you want to refer your business to in Cleveland. And she is part of Rockstars in Real Estate Facebook group that we have. She's part of my network too. So you can always just connect with me to find her, or you can just find her on Facebook. Find her on Facebook and send your referrals to Caprina. She'll take phenomenal care. I know firsthand. And Caprina, I know that, there's more to your story. We've got a lot more to hear from you, and a lot more that I know you'll be impacting the world. And come back, please come back.
I will. I will. I'm a little less nervous now.
Well, you rocked this interview. I mean, I knew you would. And the story is just like it's really an example of what you can do when you shift that mind and you say, I can do this and I'm doing it. And you haven't stopped since that moment. And I
No.
just think it's awesome. So, you did all the heavy lifting, and we all need, I feel like you were put in my life and I was put in yours, but we all have the people that we count on. You said, Chris is your person, and I know that, we have those people in work, we have those people who inspire us. You inspire the world, and you make a huge impact in it, and it's just the beginning. So, thanks for being here today. Thanks for sharing and being vulnerable and sharing your story with everybody. And I can't wait to see the next chapter. I really
Thank
can't.
you, Sherri. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything you said. You know that you have been very impactful, and not just my success story, but a lot of people's. And whether or not every agent wanted to listen when you would tell us and give us everything under the sun. I mean, that was the other part too. Just like, I really am very grateful for what I was shown. Not that I listened and did it all at the time. And sometimes you look back and think, wow, if I would have really done it, where would things be? But sometimes you have to go through things to come out on the other side. And I really thank you. I mean it.
Well, it's just what we do. We that was the most fabulous time, was, all of you, and relationships like with you, and all the others that we used to hang out and laugh and then do business. And you know what? You learned it all. And most importantly, you're putting it in place. And it's the action that creates the success. And
True.
doing it now, or you knew it then, it all stayed. And you have your own gifts and talents that your marketing is fabulous. It always has been. Always has been. I would look at your stuff and be like, did someone do this for you? And you're like, no, I
You
didn't.
you did. I know. And I would be like, is it really good? Okay. Like, I thought it looked good. And I would change it a
Oh,
hundred times, and I still do that. But
it was
I
no,
appreciate it.
yeah, no, really, like you still do. I mean, it's everybody wants to go look at your social media. But we'll have you back on for sure, probably, sooner than later. And we're just glad to have you part of our environment and our success. And I can't wait to see every new thing you're going to do, and get to 20 and beyond. And next you can tell us the things you changed from here to get you there. And by then, I'm sure you'll have a well-oiled machine, and
Yeah.
you'll trust somebody enough to delegate, because that's our biggest hang up, I think.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It really is. And so everybody, thanks for listening. If you are just checking out Rockstar interview with Sherri Johnson, we have a podcast that is called You Rock with Sherri Johnson, a real estate podcast. We're launching that this afternoon. So if you're interested, check us out we're having a party right now at 2:00 Eastern. So go over into the Sherri Johnson coaching page. We're going to be streaming live there with this podcast. I think there's a ton of people joining. I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be a lot of fun. The podcast is available on Spotify and anywhere, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are available. So you can download the podcast. Caprina's interview will be on there, as well as
Great.
some tips and tricks and great coaching tips that I'm going to talk about. I'm interviewing David Knox next month, who is an icon in the industry. David Knox, literally the national trainer, has been around for 40 plus years. And we have a great lineup of other great guests. So again, Caprina, I have to say it, you rock. You are my inspiration, and you are just a delight to have on the show today. And I know everyone watching this got some absolute great ideas and takeaways from your talk. We'll see you soon. Say hi to everybody for me, okay?
I will. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
We'll be seeing you soon. Have a great week.
Good.
Okay. Bye bye.